Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to quickly run through a primary result that just came in from Democrats abroad and then also update where we stand with the pledged delegate tracker. So just like in 2016 with Bernie Sanders claiming a big victory with Democrats abroad over Hillary Clinton, he's able to do well with this portion of the Democratic voters again here in 2020 as he grabs the victory at about 57.9% of the vote. Joe Biden bringing in second place at 22.7%, and then Elizabeth Warren significantly better than all of the other candidates that were below the top two, grabbing 14.3%, again showing more of a lean towards those progressive type nominees from Democrats abroad as opposed to the more centrist moderates, and perhaps not a huge surprise in that instance with a lot of these people that are abroad living in countries that have a lot of these types of programs and policies that you see championed by individuals such as a Sanders and a Warren. And it's also important to note that these Democrats abroad voted back starting on Super Tuesday, March 3rd, and then they went through the week after that. So Elizabeth Warren, a lot of her vote probably came in before she officially decided to step down. She was just below that 15 percentage point threshold, a little under 6,000 votes. And once she stepped back down, I would assume that a lot of her vote probably ended up going more so towards Bernie Sanders from that point on, with Sanders in first place over 23,000 votes, and then Joe Biden in second place at around 9,000 votes. So in terms of those 13 pledged delegates, Sanders was able to pick up 9. Joe Biden picked up 4. So let's update that over on the pledged delegate tracker so we can see exactly where this race stands. We put 4 in the column for Biden for Democrats abroad with Bernie Sanders at 9. So then that gets us to a point where Joe Biden is at 1,205 pledged delegates, with Sanders in second place at 905. And in terms of the percentage of the current pledged delegates that have been divvied up, Biden has picked up 53%, where Bernie Sanders has picked up 40%. And then in terms of the percentage of getting to that 1,991 pledged delegates needed to win on the first ballot at the Democratic Convention, Joe Biden is 60.52% of the way there, and Bernie Sanders is 45.45% of the way to getting towards that number. Now, obviously, Joe Biden, the clear frontrunner at this point in the process, especially with how the voting has gone over the past couple of weeks. Now, less attention has been put on the Democratic presidential primary, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Obviously, with the health issue that's going around the United States as well as globally, that's getting a lot of the media's attention, and rightfully so. But then beyond that, Joe Biden, he's claimed that frontrunner status. He's almost the presumptive nominee at this point, just in terms of when you take a look at the delegate math going forward, there's almost no pathway for Bernie Sanders to get to the pledged delegates needed to win on the first ballot, unless something absolutely catastrophic happened with the Joe Biden campaign from this point going forward. But extremely unlikely to happen. Even if Joe Biden has some gaffes going forward, it's still not likely to crater his campaign enough to where he wouldn't be able to go on and grab that pledged delegate victory, even on the first ballot, before you'd even have to get to a second ballot where the superdelegates would then come in and likely more so go for Joe Biden than they would for Bernie Sanders. So right now, Bernie Sanders, he's been focusing a lot more of his attention over on the health issue that we have here in the United States and what he would do to fix the problem, and working with the Senate and Congress to try to pass something in the way of relief. And he's been putting less focus and attention on going around the country campaigning, where you're not having these public events anyways. But one thing where Bernie Sanders and his camp are doing quite better than Joe Biden is getting in touch with the voters, streaming, getting in contact with them. It's actually been kind of embarrassing how weak Joe Biden's response has been over this past week to the health concern in the United States. And I don't know, maybe his campaign doesn't know what live streaming is, or maybe they just want to continue to run kind of this shadow type campaign where they limit the exposure that Joe Biden has in public, because since he's already pretty much going to go on and win this thing, even if he doesn't show himself in public, maybe that's the pathway that they're going to continue to take forward, kind of like what they have done with Joe Biden over the course of the past year going through primary and campaigning season. And you might be asking yourself, why hasn't Bernie Sanders dropped out of the race, considering he has almost no shot at going on and winning the nomination? And it would appear strategic, basically trying to get as much of the progressive platform implemented by the candidate Joe Biden and his team and the Democratic Party when he goes on and wins the nomination, maybe trying to make some concessions over to the progressive wing of the Democratic Party in exchange for getting Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, those type of individuals supporting the Joe Biden cause. But it's probably more strategic move on Sanders and his camp at this point in time, just trying to continue to fight for that progressive platform, as opposed to them thinking that they can seriously go on and win this nomination, or at least that's my 2 cents on why Bernie Sanders would continue to stay in the race at this point in time. And we'll see if he makes that decision to drop out or continue to stay in the race going forward here. We have a little bit of time before we're going to be getting into those next contests. So I appreciate you guys stopping by for this update video, and to continue to get election update coverage, consider subscribing for more, and I'll see you guys back here for future videos.